Come on in, Facebook. Come on in. 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 Come on in, Facebook. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm so glad again to come to you on our weekly program. This is the Brinson Connection, and I am your host, Apostle Dr. Sylvester Paul Brinson III. Coming to you, my Facebook family all over the world, from the United States of America, from the state of Illinois, and from the Chicago metropolitan area. It is now 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. We come on every week at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time with the Brinson Connection, and I'm so glad. We thank all of you that have been getting in contact with us, that have called us, those of you that watch us by this show live. And then because the pandemic is kind of easing up now, and you catch us in the afternoon, you catch us in the evening, you catch us during the week, or some of you all just catch us on YouTube. Just to make an announcement, all of our programs, if you don't catch them on my page, you can go to YouTube, www.youtube.com, and type in Dr. Sylvester Paul Brinson III and go to my channel, subscribe to my channel, and we have over 130 teachings on that channel. So why don't you go on that channel and subscribe to that channel? Those of you that have continuously praying for me and praying for the ministry and praying for the program, those that still, you said, Apostle Brinson, you never tell us we want to give. Well, you can Zelle me at Hope Outreach Ministries International, Chicago on Bishop, or my telephone number to Zelle is 773-616-1951, or pick up the phone and give me a call at 773-616-1951. And or you can Cash App us at Tabernacle, the number 7, Tabernacle 7. That's Cash App. Oh, or you can go to our website, www.thebrinsoninstitute.com, www.thebrinsoninstitute.com, and go to our donation page. Go check us out. Check out our website anyway. See what ministries we're involved in. If you would like to support us, you can. Those of you that have not picked up our latest book on iniquity, sins of the fathers, iniquity, sins of the fathers, you can order that book on Amazon. A small book, it'll give you some insight. I think you might need to know about iniquities and sins of the fathers, an act that becomes a habit, that becomes a lifestyle, then goes into your character personality profile and enters into your DNA. And so we want to talk about that. We want to talk about bloodline curse, the cursings that enter to our bloodline. Then we're going to talk about that same process. We're going to just take out curses and put blessings there, because bloodline blessings, some of you all are creative and it's in your bloodline. You are entrepreneurs because it's in your bloodline. You was born with certain things. We sometimes like to concentrate on the negative, the iniquity or the curse. Okay, but remember that principle and protocol is the same if you flip it to blessings. Get the book, find out how the curse is translated. There's a prayer in there for relief. And then once you get that, understand the process and the paradigm protocols of the of iniquity and how it runs in family lines, you can apply the same principles to the blessings. Those blessings, some of you all got blessings in your legacy. Some of you are representative of legacy, and there's certain blessings in your DNA, and you touch on it every now and then, but you need to really check it out and see what God is doing. And some of you all are blessed and gifted individually. Then others of you are gifted because it comes out of your DNA. And others, you're gifted because God allows you to learn some things and study some things. So thank you, those who are watching us now. Hit the share button. If you would just hit your share button right now. Hit your share button and share so we can connect. Well, I am so excited. We have been talking about the prophets. Brother Jones. God bless you, man of God. We've been covering the Sunday school lesson normally on this time. There's so many things we've talked about, and so you need to just go to our YouTube account and look at everything we've been discussing in the past. But we try to do a study in the Word. I know everybody's doing this and doing that, but we decided that what we needed to do was study the Word and make it applicable to everyday life, and see if we can glean golden nuggets from a study of the Word. So one of the things I was concerned about is, well, what can we study? There's so many things on Facebook, and so many people talk about so many things. There's so much to study, Songbird. And so we need to find out now what it means to study the Word consistently. So we've determined to study the weekly Sunday school lesson. Just the weekly Sunday school lesson. Tiffany, God bless you. The weekly Sunday school lesson from the international version. So those of you that do go to Sunday school, to church school, to study, if you have the international Sunday school lesson, Sunday's lesson is on the suffering servant, bring salvation. It's Easter. And so the Sunday school lesson is going to be, of course, about the servant, salvation being sealed, and depending upon whether or not you're studying. So we study from 3 commentaries, especially the Townsend Press, the Sunday School Townsend Press. This is a book. The Townsend Press is a Sunday school, the Christian education department that is run by Black educated scholars. And so I like the Sunday school commentary. A lot of the Baptist churches use it because I want to know, listen, and read from some of our Black. We got people that are people of color that have studied the Word. Some of you all know your pastors and leaders studied. They know their Word. Sometimes we don't read, then we go to other folks. So, we need to read in context of others to compare notes. So the Townsend commentary, we use that to get some reflection from our classes. And also we use Urban Ministry Precept for Living commentary. I got the big one because I like to get the large print, because I like to write in the margins and highlight. And then I don't have my other one with me. It's in the other room, the evangelical viewpoint, the white evangelical viewpoint. Well, all of us are evangelicals, but I need to keep in mind, I need to keep up what they think about and how they think. So you always got to know how other people think, so you'll be ready to have an answer. So we use the standard commentary. Also, that's written by the white evangelical community, so I can keep up with what they do. So those 3 commentaries, plus what I know and what we study. And so what we do on every Wednesday at 2:00, we come and we study that together. I bring excerpts, and sometimes I'm so geeked up is because those of you that are busy, we study the Sunday school lesson every week by a conference call. So if you go on my timeline and scroll down, you'll see the flyer. So every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12:00, from 10:30 to 12:00, I have a study group of persons who read these commentaries, and they come with their commentaries, and we discuss the Sunday school lesson for an hour and a half. And we talk about the details of the lesson as it is in the commentaries, agree and disagree, and also what we bring to the table for excitement. And then we also play to it a contemporary, we bring into every day. We add contemporary stuff to it. So what that means today. So what are we doing today? We understand the political time and arena where we are. We put all that together, and every week we do this. And so by the time I come at 2:00, I'm geeked up, because I just have so much other stuff to talk about as well. So we're going to try to talk about it. So today, there's a lot of things that in our study from the 10:30 to 1:00 hour, we had some good time in studying. For those who come on the free conference call, you can join us, pick up your books, or just join us. Or you can Google the International Sunday School Lesson and find out. I think the Church of God in Christ, they use Urban Ministries. They have their own Sunday school book, but some of the editors of Urban Ministry write for them But they come on once a week. I think it's on Saturday or what day a week. And they do the Sunday school lesson as well. So there's so much information about the Word of God and how we can live and function. I'm so glad for those of us, Brother Edward Jones, watching on his lunch break. Others that come in all the time. So if you miss me at 3 o'clock, from 2 to 3, I let it run all week. So you just go on my timeline. Just type in Sylvester Brinson III and go follow my timeline and scroll down. You'll find me because I let it roll on the timeline. I don't take it off or just go to YouTube and pick it up a week later. And also those who are watching us by Twitter, all my Twitter people, God bless you. We got to get to Instagram. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. So those on Twitter, those on Facebook, you watching us by YouTube. Thank you. This is your host, Apostle Dr. Sylvester Paul Brinson III of the Brinson Connection. Okay, let's get on with it. Our scriptures today comes from Isaiah chapter 53, verses 4 through 11, Isaiah 53. So we talk about Isaiah talking about the scriptures. He was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquity. The chastisement of his peace was upon us, and by his stripes we are healed. He's born. So that's the storyline. That's the biblical text storyline for the lesson today on the suffering servant. And in the Sunday school lesson, it highlighted the difference, the comparison of being a suffering servant to celebrate a resurrected Christ. I was a suffering servant, but now I'm a resurrected Christ. So those of us who celebrate the crucifix, you wear a crucifix around your neck. It's a cross with Jesus hanging on the cross. That's the crucifix. That is a picture of the suffering servant. Jesus hanging on the cross. Well, if I wear a cross, I wear a cross with no Jesus hanging on the cross. And that's a pictorial cross. It's called a pictorial cross. There's no Jesus hanging on it. It says that he came down from the cross. After he died, they took his body down, put him in a tomb, and he rose. And he sits with all power at the right hand of his Father. So he's gone back. Now he's the resurrected Christ. I'm not going to argue about those people, because if you wear the cross, if you wear the crucifix, it should be a reminder of what he went through. It should be a reminder of what he's done. It should be a reminder of his suffering. It should be a reminder of he came 42 generations, and it was a reminder that he gave his life. It should be a reminder. So I'm not going to say, well, no, you Catholic, you this, you that. No, it's just a reminder. So if you like to celebrate the reminder, that's fine. That's fine. And when I see it, and I see you with a crucifix on, it reminds me. But then I also like to wear the cross where there is no Jesus. It's the pictorial. It also is a reminder that he descended and he ascended, and he gave gifts to the church, apostles, prophets, pastors, and teachers. And he went to sit at his right hand, and he said, I'm going to prepare a place for you, and he's coming back. So that's a reminder for me. So we put those two together, and we got the whole story. So there's a way that we can talk and share today. I picked out a couple of things because in my study, there were some ideas and some things that I wanted to highlight. Jesus' resurrection, the story that he was rejected by men, despised, but yet he bore it, he took it, and he resurrected. One of the things that Isaiah in his prophecy concerning Jesus, about 700 years before it took place, Isaiah 43 is talking about the suffering servant, who is now, we on our side, the resurrected Christ. So when you study the Sunday school lesson, that's the theme for the lesson, suffering servant, who's now the resurrected Christ. And so therefore, we celebrate. One of the things that I was looking at was that some of the things that we say and do around this text of Isaiah, and I wanted to bring some highlight to it. One of the things that you see in the scriptures in the text is a statement known as the fullness of time. And this stood out to me. The message of the gospel, the fullness of time. Jesus died at the right time. Jesus was born at the right time. The fullness of time. So I want to say something about that because I want to segue into that because we have to understand what time means in the New Testament, Old Testament, and timing and the use of time. Some of us are familiar with with Ecclesiastes. Everything there's a time and a season. You know, a time to be born, a time to die, and then there are 14 juxtapositions: a time to eat, a time to refrain from eating, a time to get, a time to lose, and you go through all those 14 juxtapositions of life. So if you go to Ecclesiastes and you read Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 10, it talks about time. But it challenged me because I think what we want to know when we talk about Jesus coming in the fullness of time or time, that we need to look at it from I want to break down the Greek meaning. I want to break down the Greek meaning of time in the biblical text, in the gospel. We talk about so the message of the gospel is that of the right time. We find this in the Townsend Press. Those who wrote and edited the Sunday school lesson in the Townsend Press. I want to read just something from them. I want to read out of the Townsend Press what they said. Here's the reading. The message of the gospel is that at the right time. Christ died on the cross for our sins, Romans 5:6. The Greeks had two primary definitions of time. I want you to note that. That the Greeks had two definitions of time. Those of us who've been to seminary, those Bible school, those of you who've been hearing teaching, you hear about chronology, and chronological, and kairos and chronos, chronological time, kairos, times of events. It's clear that we must understand the difference between chronos and kairos. And that was very significant as I studied the lesson about Jesus in the fullness of time. God sent his son and he came in the fullness of time. He came at the right time. So, we talked about the Greeks, two primary definitions of time. So chronos refers to everyday time. Get with me now. Chronos, when we say chronos, chronos, chronos or chronological time deals with seconds and minutes. Seconds become minutes. Minutes become hours. Hours become days. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. Months become years. That's chronological time. That's time. And it's always moving. Chronological time never stops. No. If your clock stops, it's because the battery is dead. That which powers is dead or it just broke. Time, as they say, time keeps on ticking. Time never stops ticking. Time. Definition of time. Chronos, everyday time. Chronos is sequential. Chronos is sequential time, and it moves. Sequential times, it moves. Seconds, 60 seconds, minutes, 60 minutes, hours, 24 hours, day, 7 days, weeks, so many weeks, months, so many months, years, and it continues. It's sequential. It continues. It never stops. So when we talk about Paul and his use of time in Romans and others in the Gospels, we talks about time. The other word is kairos, K-A-I-R-O-S. Chronos, C-H-R-O-N-O-S, chronos, Greek, or kairos, K-A-I-R-O-S, kairos. Kairos is opportune or decisive time. So kairos is decisive time on top of chronos, which is sequential time. Got it? So kairos refers to the right time to do something. So when you say, well, I'm going to do this in some time. No, but when is the right time? Because all time is not the right time. The right time is referred to as kairos. When God gets ready to move, he moves in kairos time. This is the time. This is the season. And so a lot of us, we've been so busy dealing with chronological time, that we have not been obedient to Kairos time, and that's why we're having so many problems, because we're out of time and out of step because we're into chronological time, but not obeying the call of Kairos time. That was really important for me. So when conditions comes together to produce the right moment, when conditions comes together to produce the right moment, to make an event, that's Kairos. Let me say that again. When conditions come together to produce the right moment for something to happen, the writer says for something powerful to happen, it's called Kairos time. So let's look at it, okay? So you said, well, a woman is pregnant, and we're going to time the pregnancy. The pregnancy is so many weeks, and the trimesters in so many weeks and 9 months, and somewhere in the chronological time of us making time of seconds and minutes and hours and days, that child is going to be born. But that's so we're calculating, we're keeping up with chronological time. But then there's an event. Bam! That child comes. Kairos. Well, she was born. Chronological time says she was born on March the 31st at 10:30 in the morning. That's Chronos said. But Kairos said she was born that was the event. The event is when it happened. The event is when it took place. What happened? There was a Kairos time. In the year that King Uzziah died, chronologically, I saw the Lord. Kairos, the happening. So when you look at Ecclesiastes, it said to everything there is a season and a time of purpose. A season, a time, a happening. There's a season, and then there's a happening. When did it happen? When did it happen? So when we talk about, and it came to pass, and when it happened, the question is, in our obedience to God, Dr. Battles, and our and obedience to God, you're not too late, you on. In obedience to God, KK, God bless you, I'm doing fine. In obedience to God, I obeyed him. And when I obeyed him, something happened. The songwriter said, he touched me. That was Kairos, in the midst of my chronological timing, what day it was, what month it was. He touched me, he touched me, he touched me. Chronologically, I know the day and the hour, but the Kairos, I know the event. There was an event. And so Ecclesiastes talk about there's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. When is the event? Something took place that caused me to embrace. That was Kairos. Then something took place. I've stopped. It's over, done. What happened? What were the things that all came together to make a change happen? Kairos. God operates in Kairos. It's time. Somebody say it's time to make that change. Okay, chronologically, you saying it's time to make the change, but when you gonna make it? It's a Kairos. Kairos. It says it happens. And when you walk with God and you touch God, God say now is the time. Do it now. And some of us are in trouble because we have disobeyed Kairos time and caught up in chronological time. And we keep wanting to know when it's going to happen chronologically while we are in disobedience to Kairos time when God said do it. God said, tomorrow I want you to do this. You say, okay, I'll do it next week. So then you disobey Kairos, the event, for it to happen. And you went back and put it in, it's going to happen. So we got to move from it's gonna to it happened. He touched me. Something happened. Now I know he touched me. And when he touched me, he made me whole. There was a kairotic event on my chronological time. So when Kairos crisscrossed the road of chronology on the highway of Chronos, there's an exit called Kairos, an overpass. So as you drive down Chronos time, God said, Kairos, get off that highway. Go change, make a detour, make a happening. We need to make a happening. We need to obey Kairos time. In the fullness of time, God sent his son. In the fullness of time, God switched you up. In the fullness of time, God picked you up and turned you around. In the fullness of time, God birthed out a ministry. In the fullness of time, God answered prayer. In the fullness of time, God healed something. In the fullness of time, God providentially connected you. In the fullness of time, God said yes. And sometimes God said no. And sometimes God didn't give you no answer at all. And said, can you just trust me? Well, it's going past. The train is going past. God said, let the train go past. I need to let this event pass you up. So when it passed you up, that's not the train I want you on. Miss that train because another train is coming that's going to take you in another direction. So we have to be careful as we move in chronological time every day. Every day. Daily, daily, daily. Daily will I seek thee. Day. But when God said move, when God said turn, when God said up, and when God say down, when God say yes, when God say no, when God say nothing, you better be tentative to the fact that you are in keeping with God's kairos time. So I wanted to segue out of that. You know, but Brent, what that got to do with the Sunday school? That's a whole lot. Because in the fullness of time, God sent his son. In the fullness of time. And then what did he say? In the fullness of time. So that's why time is important. We go back to the Old Testament, and God said in Genesis, as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest. Seed time. In seed time, there is chronos and kairos. Seed time of chronos is the calculation and the keeping up with how many minutes and days and hours and years go by. Kairos says what happened when it died. The seed died. It got a root. Died. It shot up a stalk, died. But you still count. In Chronos, okay, well, what day you went to sleep and you woke up and the flower had budded. It had a Kairos event. In the midst of the chronology, Kairos came. Well, we was going to wait and see, you picked it before it's time, so the watermelon ain't sweet. You picked it before the time, so the apples ain't sweet, because there's a certain time and season that things must happen. So some of us, we're ahead of time. We jumping. Well, no, it's time. I'm tired. I'm tired. Brent said, I'm tired of all this. God said, but while you calculating how long they did this, how long you been in this, if you stay with me, I got a time and a purpose, a fullness when I'm going to tell you stop, go, separate, run, jump, hop, move, transfer. But you got to wait on me. So if you wait on me, I'll give you the directions. And when I give you the directions, I'll give you the fortitude in the midst of your vicissitude, so you won't be caught up in your solitude, because out of gratitude, I'll change your attitude and put you on a higher altitude. That because of the multitude of my power, if you wait on me, if you wait on me, if you wait for Kairos, no matter what happens in your chronological time, in the fullness of time. So I took that from the lesson. I marked up my book, I marked it up. Kristen McCann, God bless you. Kristen McCann, God bless you. God bless you. And so we want to look at that. And so from the servant of the Lord to the resurrected Christ, something else that stuck out to me in this lesson was God causes the conditions of humanity to be used as his ministry to do his will. Say that again. So much, all this, I just hate the systems. Well, some of these systems God uses to get his work done. Now, I had to look at that. And so, therefore, it talks about God. Isaiah's prophesied about Jesus coming, and he's going to be wounded for our transgression, bruised for our iniquity. He's going to be whooped and beat. So he uses the Roman system. The Roman system. The Roman system. We're going to beat you. And the other system of humanity, we're going to whoop you. We're going to get 40 licks on your back in public square, but we're going to give you 39 just in case we miscount. So he was wounded for our, you talking about humanity way of whooping folk with 39 licks, with jagged bone and stuff, and then he gonna be crucified. Oh, so that's the Roman cross. So he uses a systematic issue of the political system and nature and institutions. God is in control. So he allows those institutions and circumstances to be utilized for his glory to work his will. So therefore, the Romans, when they whipped them up, they crucified them. They nailed their hands and their feet, and then they pierced them in the side and make sure that that they're dead. So all that went through Jesus. He submitted himself. God submitted his son through the process of humanity's system and customs to create his will of celebration. So sometimes he said, the Bible says, Jesus said, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's and God the things that are God. Because sometimes God will utilize some of Caesar's stuff, even though it may be good, bad, or ugly. He'll utilize that for his purpose, because it just becomes a conduit to get him where you got to go. Just like you can't die without using death. You can't have a resurrection without a Good Friday. You can't have Easter without Good Friday. You can't have a resurrection without death. You can't have reconciliation until you be jacked up and torn apart. Come on now. So we have to understand those principles. So we find those principles in the text. One of the things that also understood is that the seed, talked about the seed. A lot of times we have to understand that some of us, our seed has been corrupted. Our seed has been corrupted. I want to read seed time and harvest. Seed time and harvest. So whatever you plant, seed time, and your chronological and your kairos, when you plant and it happens, a seed and it die, it shall bring forth. That's a principle. Seed time and harvest. Plant the seed, water the seed, harvest the seed. It's like that in life. Seed time and harvest. Seed time and harvest creates legacy. You can't have legacy unless you plant the seed in somebody's life or situation and then harvest it. The harvest is the legacy of the plant. Okay, come on. So some of us, we are receiving harvests in our lives from people, places, and things from what we planted. And now it's the devil maybe doing. No. Don't blame that on the devil. No. You planted that seed. And it's time now for it to be harvested. Whether you harvest it or not, it is up there looking at you in the face, saying, hey, remember me? I used to be a seed, and I came out of you, which you planted. You planted that hate. You planted that evil. And so when I looked at that, that stood out, because here in the commentary it says the seed symbolizes self-perpetuating life. Within the seed, and God created, and he created what? The herbs of the field, that the seed was in itself. The seed is perpetuating. Apples have apple seeds. Oranges have seeds. Then we have man come up and create stuff with no seeds. How you get a watermelon with no seed? That's, we always messing around in God's stuff. So some of y'all, then you got a little ministry with no seed. You got stuff going on that look good, taste good, smell good, but it ain't got no seed. It's not self-perpetuating. Now you want to know why ain't nobody following you, why people ain't picking up, because you ain't planting no seed. You bootlegging. You bootlegging in the process. So you got to look at that. I found that interesting. The seed. So when you see about a seed, it symbolizes self-perpetuating fertility. That's why when people in finance, they say, we're going to seed into your ministry. We're going to seed into this soil. We're going to invest in something. A lot of you all want to hang around with people and want people's anointing and want ministry anointing. Don't seed nothing. I got people now, and sometimes I laugh to myself. It's really it tickles me, because we oversee about 150 churches and ministries, and I have sons and daughters, and I have people quickly say, well, Apostle Brinson, that's my spiritual dad. Oh, you really? Well, when was the last time you seeded into me? You ain't seeded nothing. The only time I hear from you is when you want something. But Dad, here I get a call. Dad, sometime when I get the call, I ain't even answer the phone. I ain't heard from you in 10 years, 5 years, 6 years. They're going to try to make me feel like I'm guilty. Well, you at least could have picked up the phone and called. No, you pick up the phone and call. You the son, you the daughter. You pick up the phone and call me. My Cash App is Tabernacle 7. My Zelle number is my telephone number. You ain't give nothing. Birthday came around, they ain't gave nothing. They ain't even pick up the phone. So I was thinking about you, sent a card enough, but you my spiritual son and you my spiritual daughter. Yeah, right. Right. And then gonna get an attitude if I don't call you. Seed time and harvest. Seed time. Seed time. Come on now. Then you wonder why people don't support you, because you don't support nobody. You don't see, you seed, you know what your seed is? No support. So your harvest, no support. Come on now, it's only right, it's only right, it's only right, it's only right. You want love, but you won't give love. You want respect, but you won't give respect. You want people to check on you, but you don't check on nobody. That's selfishness. And so you plant selfishness. So your harvest is people are into they self and they don't see you. They see themselves. And you want to know, wow, everybody into themselves. That's the people around you, because you draw them kind of people, because that's the kind of people you are. So when you look at seed time and harvest, it's important. That's a principle that you get to understand that. It's a principle. So look at it, says, when God created the world, he put into every living organism the seed to perpetuate himself. Let me put it again. When God created the world, he put into every living organism the seed to perpetuate itself, to reproduce itself. And even the principle in the kingdom is go make disciples. A disciple is you reproducing yourself and an other. Make a disciple. No, we want to win souls. We want to talk to a person, get them in the kingdom, no one had nothing else to do with them. See, my job was to bring you in. I just go out there and get some souls. No. The Bible didn't say that. The Bible said, go make disciples. There's a difference between a disciple maker and a soul winner. So you can win souls by bringing them in. And you don't have to follow them up after that. But if you're a disciple maker and you disciple people, you got to be with them. You got to challenge them. You got to love on them. They got to respect you. They got to become a disciple. Your discipline has to fall under them. They say they understand you. That means they not only understand you for information, but they stand under. To understand is to stand under. I understand. No, you ain't submitted. You ain't stood under nothing. You got your own agenda. So, Brenson, where you see all that in the text? Oh, it's all in here because Jesus understood. He stood under his dad. You let this cup pass from me, but okay, I don't want to do this. Okay, you got your point. You made your point. You didn't want to do it. You made your point, but keep on praying. Okay, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. That's why sometimes when people say they don't want to do something, they mad and they upset. Don't react to them. Give them some time. Give them some time. They may say, nevertheless, I know, okay, Dad, okay, man of God, woman of God, okay, I see. So you so calm about it. You ain't going to argue about it. You done made your point, whether I like it or not. Nevertheless, I'm going to obey. And that's what Jesus did. He obeyed himself. So it says, our children are our seed, or they are the extension of ourselves, teaching and reaching into the future. That's why I tell single parents, mother got a son, you just like your whole knucklehead daddy. Don't say that. Don't say that. Because biologically, it's 50-50. He may be, if he's so much like his daddy, he can only have 50% in the DNA pool. He's got the other 50% of you. So if he's a being, when you look at him, you have to say how much percentage of the 50, if I'm 50% of my dad's genes and chromosomes and 50% of my mother's, then in my 100%, what percentage points do I give to my dad for who I am and look like or whatever? And what percentage do I give to my mom? Boy, you look just like your mama. Well, you look like your mom and act like your daddy. No. You got some looks like your mama and your daddy combined. As you grow older, you say, oh, well, he used to look like his daddy. Now he look more like his mom. I don't know. They look like a mix between. So you got some ways like your daddy and some ways like your mama. So don't be blaming it all on your knucklehead daddy. Papa was a Rolling Stone. So what? You better go back and learn, Papa, because if you want to know the holistic self, you want to be sensitive to your holistic self, you better find your birth father or your birth mother. Well, they dead. Well, you better go back and try to figure out, did somebody know them? You know, some of your ways, some of the things you are, because that you have to deal with the principle of the seed. Seed. So therefore, our children are our seed. They are the extension of ourselves, reaching into the future. Look at this statement. It said, kill and corrupt the seed, and the future harvest is then dull and dark. It says that the ever increasing tide of murder and community killings is an indication that the seed has been corrupted by sin, social isolation, systematic and endemic poverty, pervasive ignorance, economic exploitation, and a continuation of the legacy of slavery, all kind of violence and neighborhood issues. This growing wave of violence means that some family names have been snuffed out, just snuffed out. It means that self-perpetuating life of a seed that God gave us life ceased to become, in a sense, and kill it. You killed the seed. The seed you killed because you acting like your mom or daddy, or you skipped your mom or daddy, go back to your grandmama, your granddaddy, your uncle, whatever. It runs in the family. Certain thing. Well, you know, they impulsive, Brinson. They got anger issues. Well, what about you? Do you have, my son, pray for him. He has anger issues. Well, okay, let's look at it. Well, I'm praying for him. Do you have anger issues? Did his daddy have anger issues? What about the uncles? What about the mama, the grandmama? That's the seed. Seed time and harvest. And so because of sin, Kimberly, God bless you, goddaughter, because of sin, then the seed has been corrupted. So thanks be to God, from Jesus dying on the cross to his resurrection, we have an advocate to get the seed purged. Well, y'all on the phone, hit it. Somebody need to hit share right quick. Hit share button, hit the share button, hit your share button. You like it? I'm talking good. Hit your share button, hit your share button. Bring somebody else in. We got another 15 minutes to talk. Bring somebody else in. And so here it is. So we got to understand that. We got to understand what is the seed. What's in my seed? What is it? And so therefore, I have to be clear that certain things have just been wiped out and purged out because of my environment, what I think, what I do. All that's in my book. You need to order that book. Order the Iniquity Sins of the Fathers. Go to Amazon, Amazon.com, and put in the search bar Dr. Sylvester Paul Brinson III and get my book on Iniquity Sins of the Fathers, understanding the bloodline curse, and then understanding the bloodline blessings. An act becomes a habit. A habit becomes a lifestyle. A lifestyle gets into your personality, and then it gets into your character, and it runs in your blood, and it gets into your gene pool, and it travels in your DNA. That's how it happens. So that's how the curse happens. There's a sin of the seed, but also the blessings happen the same way. So you remember, we can't say cursings without blessings. You can't say blessings without cursings. So you have to understand that. So as I begin to look at that in the text, that stood out to me, that how God can come in and he can raise you up. The other thing that stood out to me in the Sunday school lesson was Jesus, after he was crucified, the disciples, they got out of there. They was running. They got away. They hid themselves. You know, sometimes you can hide yourself from an event that God creates. And on one side, while you hiding because you don't understand an event that God created, your adversaries is lying about the event that God created because they don't know what people going to say about the event that God did that you running from to hide. Matt Carter, God bless you. So look at, check this. Okay, so the disciples, they somewhere. So early in the morning on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and them, they come to say we're gonna put some spices on the tomb, on the grave. Peter and all of them, they jacked up. Their leader's been messed up. He been crucified. We thought, some of them thought, well, but maybe he was going to save us from the Roman government. He was going to be our political leader. It's nothing more frustrating when you think you working with somebody and they going to lead you or fix you. They got a grant. They going to help you out. They going to put you in some kind of situation. And then next thing you know, they gone. They moved out. They going to, or the program burned down. Now you sitting up here all by yourself feeling bad or sometimes silly or whatever. So that you can fill out the disciples all feeling a little silly and hurt and wounded. At the same time, God then acted. They just know that they rolled a stone in front of it. They sealed it. And the guards is all sitting around it. So they went home with that understanding. That was their information. But in the midst of that, they didn't know that the earthquake, they didn't understand that the earthquake and the angel of the Lord came down and rolled away the stone and sat on it. Come on now, come on. What God will do, he'll take your blockage and move it out the way and then kick it down the street. The angel of the Lord came down, rolled away the big stone, and sat on. That must have been a big angel. And the guards was frightened, ran away. They went back to their superiors, and the high priest said, I know you told us to protect the body. I'm telling you, with nothing we could do. We just know out of these big angels, bam, there was an earthquake. The earth got to shaking, shook loose the seal of the stone. Angel came down and rolled away the stone and sat on it, and the disciples is going and hiding. And God is on the other side. While you hiding and not understanding stuff, God is operating. Isn't that something? Isn't that just a juxtaposition? On one side, God's position is this, while your position is that. That's a juxtaposition. God then sent the angel, rode away. Jesus is gone. He ain't even in the tomb. Mary and them go back and tell them. Peter and John run down there and see. He ain't there. All right, so some of the disciples, two of the disciples, they was like, they gone down the road of Emmaus. You know the story about the road of Emmaus? That'll preach. They was on the road of Emmaus. They was on their way to Emmaus, on the road of Emmaus, on the road, which was 7 miles outside of Jerusalem. So what they were saying to the disciples, so much didn't happen, we need to get up out of here. When there's a lot of controversial issues happening in our lives, we say we can get up out of here. We're going to take a sabbatical. We need to get up out of here. We need to make some sense out of stuff. All of a sudden, you feel led to Brinson, you know my name. I know my name is Sylvester Brinson, but I got 3 middle names. Sylvester Paul, Sylvester Bennett, Sylvester West Brinson. Sylvester Paul, that's y'all. Sylvester Bennett, I ain't in it. Sylvester Jose, I ain't got nothing to say. Jose, nothing to say. Bennett ain't in it. Paul, that's y'all. I ain't in none of that. I'm out of here. See ya, don't want to be here. Too much stuff going on around here. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm taking a sabbatical. I need a break. I'm calling off work. I got to get up out of here. That's because you on the road to Emmaus. What is your Emmaus road? What does Emmaus for you is calling you to come away from something you don't understand. So while the 2 disciples are on their way on the road of Emmaus, going to a town 7 miles outside of Jerusalem to get up out of Jerusalem after the Sabbath so they can travel to get their heads together, Jesus meets them. Oh, come on, somebody. When you got purpose and destiny, you can't get on the Emmaus road to come out and get out of where you're going to go, because Jesus will meet you. He will meet you. You may not understand who he is, but his providential power and anointing will meet you, and he will talk to you and have a discussion with you and call you what you are. So Jesus listens to them. His 2 disciples, they say their eyes was holding and eating. And so what did he do? He called them fools. Go back when he said, all you fools, you foolish. Jesus calls you a fool and call you foolish because you've been with me all this time. Now things done transpired. The law and the scriptures done said all this. I done taught you all this. Now you're going to leave Jerusalem. You're going to leave Jerusalem and you're going to go on road to Emmaus because you got to get out of there, get your head together. You didn't believe. You're a fool. You're a fool. You're so foolish. My leaders that's out there, you got people like that. You got disciples that because you didn't go into a crucifixion, you've been crucified in your character, crucified in your money, crucified in the church. They didn't understand the Good Friday that there was a Sunday coming. They didn't understand that in the midst of your crucifixion that there was a resurrection on its way. They didn't understand that God was using in the midst of your chronological crucifixion that Kairos was going to be an event to get you resurrected. They didn't understand that you can't have a resurrection without a crucifixion. And you can't have no crucifixion without a promised resurrection. So sometimes, then other people, your followers that have been with you for 3 years, up close, to people that are very up close to you, when you go through your crucifixion, they get on the road of Emmaus. I got that out the lesson. Well, Prince, how you get all that stuff out that lesson? Child, please, you don't study with us. You know, we call that getting a revelation. Through inspiration, get a revelation, inspiration, and get some illumination on my revelation. So when I get some illumination and talk to you, I get a confirmation in your spirit. Once I get a confirmation about a situation, then therefore now I have an application to apply to my daily life and my daily living. So out of the revelation comes this confirmation for my application. Brinson, you got to be careful not to get frustrated, because some of the very people that stuck with you when you went through your crucifixion, they forsook you and fled and they ran and they hid. Some of them follow you long distance, but they was West ain't in the mess, Bennett ain't in it, Jose with nothing to say, Paul, that's y'all. So now that you back, they don't even know you back, but if you come in and listen, can be a fly on the wall of the conversation. They talk about, oh boy, that was bad. As 2 disciples walked down the road to Emmaus, they was on their way out of, they was talking about Jesus came in and joined the conversation. And found out in the midst of the conversation, they was foolish. They was acting like fools because they couldn't even believe what the prophets had said and the teachings that they had taught. Sometimes people, you can teach them, love on them, give them, and then they get into a situation. You get into a situation and you get into your crucifixion and your Friday experience. And before you can get resurrected, they are off and gone somewhere. Well, I was, but I don't know now. Fools, foolish. That's a principle. That's a principle in ministry. And they said, and they forsook him and fled. Jesus, he's praying, travailing. Can y'all just watch with me? They went to sleep. Peter cut the ear off, but he went in hiding. The rest of them, somebody called the disciples row. He ran butt naked. He was going bam. How many of your members and leaders and people that's been around you forsook you and fled? Because they stuck on your Friday. They stuck on your crucifixion. They didn't stay around and believe that you had a resurrection. They were stuck on you being the servant, the suffering servant. They were stuck on you being the suffering servant, but they didn't see you as a resurrected son, a resurrected daughter. Suffering servant. Jesus was the suffering servant, but he also was the resurrected Christ. Hang around him beyond Good Friday and you will reach the resurrection. That's the Sunday school lesson. That's the lesson today. So many things I saw in the text. Wow, it was just so much. So the question is how do you deal with the suffering that arises as part of your spiritual journey? Huh? Brother Vance, Brother Wagner, in our spiritual journey, we suffer, we do suffering. Suffering arises on our spiritual journey. How do we deal with the suffering on our spiritual journey? Understanding that suffering calculated in the chronos of our journey, that if we stay on point in the chronos of our journey, Kairos is coming because there's a change of a powerful event. So when Kairos intersects our chronos, purpose and destiny begins to talk. What's my purpose? What's my destiny? Let chronology keep on counting. What's my purpose? What's my destiny? Let the seconds tick by. What's my purpose and what's my destiny? Let the minutes and the hours tick by. What's my purpose? What's my destiny? Let the days and the weeks pass by. Let the years pass by. But on the journey, if you stay true to the journey, even though you suffering in the journey, on the journey, And chronological time is making note of how long you've been in the process on the journey. Kairos is coming. An event is going to happen. Something is going to take place. Earth going to quake. Something's going to happen. The sun got to shine again. What happens from resurrection? What happens about resurrection? From a Good Friday, from a crucifixion to a resurrection, to a down and out, to a getting up, to a jacked up, to a reconciliation. Come on now. Come on, Elder Sledge. Talk to me. Talk to me, Elder. Talk to me. Talk to me. So this Sunday school lesson, the suffering servant. So remember that those disciples on the road to Emmaus, getting out of town after following Jesus. So that lets me know. So within the lesson, I see the paradigm of that story. And I came up with this, that those that follow you close and those that you spend a lot of time with, your disciples, your friends, when you go through a crucifixion, they are clear of your purpose. They won't wait around. They won't pray you through a crucifixion because they're not clear your purpose. Because if they were clear of your purpose when you were going, and if you was clear in your purpose, you would not have suicide ideation. You would not have thrown away the towel. Because if you knew your purpose, then you would have been able to say, like the songwriter, all the way my Savior leads me, what have I to ask beside? Can I doubt his tender mercy, who through life has been my guide? For I know whatever befall me, Jesus do it all things well. For I know whatever befalls me. No matter what happens in my life, no matter how the crucifixion is going, no matter how they beat me, and no matter how my life is messed up, my jacked up, I'm going through the Good Friday. I'm going through the crucifixion of the cross of the suffering. But if you stay with me, disciples, if you don't all run away, even though if you may have to stay long distance and look from afar, but if you stay close, hey, they used to say it all the time. Pastor Hinton used to say, disappointment may stop me. Disappointment may block my path, but hold on and wait for me because I'm coming on through. He preached that disappointment may set me back, but hold on, wait for me because I'm coming through. Disappointment, it came to pass, but not to stay. It passed on. Can you stay through the wind and through the rain? Can you stay? Can you stay through the crucifixion knowing that you got a resurrection? That's the text. That's the Sunday school lesson for the day. So remember, don't get frustrated. Those that follow you close and that you spend time with when you go through your crucifixion, they not understanding that purpose and destiny has got a resurrection calling for you. And sometimes when you look around and see what's around you, you question if resurrection is ever coming. But there's a season. Be not weary in well-doing, for in due season there's a kairos coming in the season of your chronological. While you calculating and keeping time in your season, Kairos comes and says, it's a happening. There's some situations and circumstances that's taking place that makes a change. Can you look out? Can you see? Can you put on your eyes? Can you let God open up your eyes? And can you see those things around you that is happening? Can you see certain things that God is now beginning to show you? Can you see certain things that God is now unveiling? And then it came to pass, but not to stay. Crucifixion to the resurrection. I like that. It came to pass, but not to stay. From crucifixion to the resurrection. I think I'm going to use that as my theme for the day. I've been wanting to know what to put on this broadcast. So you're going to see from crucifixion to resurrection. It came to pass, but not to stay. Where are you in your process? To everything, there's a season while you count down the chronological time. What's happening every second in my life? What's happening to every minute? This is the minute. This is the day that the Lord has made. And I will rejoice and be glad. That song says, this is the minute. This is the day. Okay, this is the minute and God is in it. So a minute, so many minutes go into hour. This is the hour of the Lord our God's power. So the hours go to the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. The day go to week. This is the week of Satan's defeat. Then the week goes into the month. This is the month that truth triumphed. And then it goes to the year. This is the year that I live without fear. Don't have no fear. Can't have no fear. They can't be weak with fear. Got to stir up my mind. God is not giving me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. From crucifixion to resurrection. From a Good Friday to an Easter Sunday morning. Let's celebrate. Let's be motivated. So we like to thank all of you, Brother Wagner, Elder Sledge, Brother Carter, Sister Kim, Sister Christine, Minister Karen, Son Battles, KK, Edward Jones on his lunch, Tiffany Johnson Sunberg, and all the rest of you that's been watching me all the way from the United States of America via the state of Illinois, from the area of the Chicago metropolitan area at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time every Wednesday. This has been your host, the Reverend Dr. Sylvester Ball Brinson III, the governing apostle of Hope Outreach Ministry and the dean of the Brinson Connection. Tune in next time. Until that time, remember, for every crucifixion, there is a resurrection. You can last. Let God give you the strength. Let him send you the people, and don't get disheartened. Remember, crucifixion today, resurrection tomorrow. Stand fast and let your tomorrows become your todays. And remember, to everything, there's a season and a time. Count me out. Count down my seconds, my minutes, my hours, my days, my weeks, my months, and my years. But know that in the midst of the chronological calculation, kairos, an event is going to happen. I may not be clear, I'll count it down, but I'm going to wait until my change comes. Because when I wait on the Lord, kairos, I am waiting in my chronological time, because kairos is going to intersect it, and there is going to be a change. And so until the next time, remember, change comes. It comes to pass, but not to stay. And so it is.